Hello, this is pickups video number 60. I wasn't planning on doing a pickups video this soon. The reason I'm doing it now is because if England play badly on Tuesday and you know, if they lose, in other words, I'll probably be like sulking for a week. I was planning on doing one, you know, in the next week or so. If they lose on Tuesday, subsequently go out, I'll probably be sulking for about a week, and you know, I'll just yeah, football does that to you. I mean, people who are thinking of becoming football fans don't. Being that powerless and caring that much about something, which in the end has very little bearing on your life, it's a strange feeling. It is. It's very odd. But it's good. It's only good if it, you know, it'll only be good if England ultimately go on and win. If they don't do that, there's going to be somewhere along the line there's going to be a big, massive downer. But, you know, but Jesus Christ, I was just like the last game was stressful. Just Jesus, right. It was. I enjoyed it, but I was just shitting my pants. I got a bit like husky after, and I was just shouting so much. But anyway, that's enough of that. I went to the cinema. Before I get on to the pickups, I went to the cinema. I saw Prometheus. It's not worth the whole video in the way that the raid was. It's ultimately underwhelming. It felt undercooked. It felt like Ridley Scott had given up overall control. It didn't have that sort of feeling of Ridley Scott. It didn't have that sort of class that you normally get from one of his films. It didn't have the sort of integrity. It felt bitty. It felt a bit undercooked. The script was a bit duff. It felt like sort of the first step on the evolution towards sort of the Aliens universe. I'll give it that. And the ending was quite good. And there are pockets of really nice CGI. You know, top quality CGI and some nice imagery. But there were like cliched characters, sort of badly drawn characters, or sort of like loosely drawn characters. They were cliched. They were, you know, things you don't necessarily expect from a Ridley Scott film. But it was disappointing. Not unentertaining. Is that a word? Unentertaining. Not unentertaining. You know, I was entertained by it, but there were certain elements that you felt disappointed by. There were plot devices. That's what annoys me in films nowadays. You see a lot of it. They introduce a plot device at the beginning of the film, and they make a big deal of an element which at the time seems irrelevant. And because it seems irrelevant, it always sets my mind going that particular irrelevant device will be used later on in the film, and I'm always looking for the point where it's going to be used. And that happened twice in Prometheus. You know, you can pinpoint them. They'll go, oh, this. The characters go, oh, look at this, or look at that, and then lo and behold, that particular thing that they pointed out will appear later on in the film, and it feels patronising, a bit condescending. It sort of insults your intelligence, as if, you know. And there were reused lines of dialogue. There are elements of dialogue in Aliens. I think Aliens, particularly, I noticed. I'm guessing there might be others. Aliens that they used in this, and it sort of resonates, and I think that's what they attempt to get, is that the connection between the films. It's trying to sort of create some sort of resonance between these two films, as if I can't, you know, I can't I can't be left to believe that for myself. There's a line in Aliens. I think it's when Hicks goes. He shouts to the rest of the survivors. He goes, "We are leaving," like that, in a certain way. I don't really say it very well, but and with a certain sort of intonation, with sort of like the you know, like intonation on the emphasis on the leaving at the end. And there's the exact same line in Prometheus with the exact same intonation, the exact same emphasis on the word leaving, which I find that patronising. But there are elements in it which I thought felt like Ridley Scott had given in to sort of studio pressures. There were certain things that didn't seem necessary. There were certain action sequences which didn't seem necessary. They felt like they needed to fulfil a quota of action sequences for people who only watch action films, and it's sort of slightly patronising that just to think that we won't go and watch a film if it doesn't have enough killing or fighting in it. But anyway, it was all right. It was a good 2.5, 3 stars out of 5. It wasn't as good as the trailer, and I think it's one of those films that doesn't live up to hype, because it was obviously hyped, wasn't it? And the trailer was brilliant. I'll give it that. The trailer was great. And I feel a bit dirty for buying into it. Just being lured in, the trailer's going, come and watch my film, and that's just bollocks. But no, don't. It's not as clever as it needed to be. It needed to be a bit more intelligent, and it wasn't. So it's disappointing ultimately. Go and watch The Raid instead. You'll get a lot more out of that. A lot more. It's a lot better film than The Raid. Anyway. Oh, Jesus, 6 minutes. Pickups. I don't have that lot. Like I said, I don't have that much because I wasn't intending to do on this soon. So I'll just sort of, this shouldn't take too long, hopefully. But a nice mixture of stuff, and one or two not bad little cheeky finds. I've been a bit lucky this time. I think it's about sort of 10 or 11 games all in all. But anyway, first game. I don't know if anybody remembers. I think it's my last pickups video. I bought the film Moon, and it was from a Blockbuster near me that was closing down, and they were having a sale. They had a 30% sale, and the closer it got to the closing down date, I think it closed on the 3rd of June. Yeah, the closer it got to the 3rd of June, the percentage off was getting higher and higher, and I went back in later on, and it was 50%. But there was nothing I particularly wanted, and I went back and it was 70%. And I thought, 70%, surely, I mean, there's got to be something here worth, make that, keep a lookout for a bargain sort of thing. But at the time I went in there, I had somewhere to be, and I didn't really have the time to be looking around. So I saw something. I saw Vanquish on the 360. That's a game that I really wanted. I've been looking out for Vanquish. I was looking out for a new copy, but I wasn't too bothered. And they're quite, they seem to hold their value. They're about 7 or 8 quid, or second hand. A bit more than that, like 12 or 10, 12, brand new. And I left the shop. I thought, well, I'll get that on the way back when I've got more time. I came back, and in that half an hour, it was literally half an hour, 45 minutes, it had gone. Some bastard had nabbed it. But what I did have, again, this was 70% off the price, so bear in mind, this was a game that I'd seen the LPR Halloween 4545 or 4545 do a review of. And I liked his enthusiasm for it. It sounded like an interesting game, my sort of game, and it is near. I've checked the reviews of it, and it's not brilliant. It doesn't get brilliant reviews. I've seen some LPs, and it looks like a PS2 game. It looks bad for a 360 game, but it's sort of like a third-person sort of action RPG. It's got God of War combat sort of thing, sort of God of War combat. But it's supposed to be like a mishmash of ideas, and it definitely does look like a mishmash of ideas. There's like sort of top-down sections, and there's side-scrolling sections, 2D side-scrolling sections, but most of it's just 3D third-person action RPG. And it looks pretty rough, but I quite like the idea of sort of I don't know, can't really explain myself. But he made Halloween 45 made it sound really interesting. And I checked out, so after I checked out some gameplay videos, and it looked alright if you can get past how rough it looks. There are certain bits in it that even look like a bullet hell shooter. The way the enemies attack, they sort of fire projectiles in these sort of really strict formations. I mean, it just like resonated. It was like, it looked like a bullet hell shooter, and it looked interesting enough. And it wasn't £9.99, like I said, so it was 70% off. So I got that for £3. Vanquish would have been £3, but this is my second choice. So I'm not too unhappy, because it was actually a game I'd been looking out for after the review that I saw. In a cash generators, where I got those 2 copies of Sonic Wings, a game that was on my list, Parappa the Rapper 2 on the PS2. I've been looking out for the original Parappa the Rapper, and this looks pretty much more of the same. The original started sort of slightly going up in price, not too much. It's sort of over £10. But if you bide your time, you should be able to get one cheaper. So that's what I've been doing, but I've not been able to get one cheaper. But Parappa the Rapper 2 is, you know, essentially pretty much more of the same. So it was on my list, and it looks like a nice, quirky, sort of like so Japanese it hurts video game. You know, with some action. It was £1.99. You know, it doesn't look very dissimilar from the PS1 game, but it looks brilliant anyway. It looks like a game I'd like. I don't think that got particularly good reviews either. And the thing with Neo is that apparently there's lots of fetch quests, boring fetch quests, which doesn't bother me. I like fetch quests. You know what we're doing. Next, I bought quite a few games from. There's this funny little. It's not so much a game shop. It's more like a little booth in a sort of a shopping centre in Wood Green near me. And it's like the only dedicated video game shop around there apart from the CX. And they do, on the odd occasion, have some nice stuff. They have a selection of Game Boy Advance games, which is about as retro as they get. They have like PS2 and Xbox and GameCube, but they have Game Boy Advance. And I've had some nice stuff in there in the past. They tend to have a fixed price for everything, so which makes a lot of it not worth their price. But if you get to consider a certain sort of game, it is worth it. And I've had like both Fire Emblem games. That last Castlevania game, the Castlevania Double Pack, was from the same place, and this one from the same place is I don't know if it's going to focus. That says Tales of Fantasia. Is it going to focus? Focus. Not going to focus. That's not what people do, isn't it? They sort of try and block up the back, so there you go. That's made a difference. Hey, Tales of Fantasia. I think I mentioned in a recent game I bought Tales of Eternia on the PSP, and made the point sort of pretty much any Tales games will hold their value or go up in price, and that's £4.99. That's the standard price they charge for GBA games, which obviously isn't worth it for the majority, but for a Tales game, Tales of Fantasia, I thought, yeah. I was a bit suspicious about whether it was legitimate. It didn't quite look as legitimate as other games I've bought from there in the past. And I do know they have been selling bootlegs. I don't think they really know they're bootlegs, but they sell them anyway. And the sticker isn't quite in the middle, and that makes me suspicious. But it's got Nintendo printed on the little circuit board, or whatever you call it. And it looks clean enough. You know, the label looks nice and sort of nicely drawn. It doesn't look printed off or anything. The little bit where it's the inset section there looks slightly shallow, and I've noticed that could be a sign that it's a bit of a dodgy cart. But I think this is legit, and it works. I played it, so it's not bad actually. It's tough, really tough. Moving on. from CEX Trading. I had a not bad day recently. I traded in some stuff. I don't like having duplicates and things and copies of games I'm not going to play. I don't know. I don't like having that. They're sort of obsolete games because they're not. They're basically. I need to get rid of them. I feel the need to move them on. I don't like them having them sitting there. I know I do have duplicates and things, but I don't like it. And I had quite a good day because I got rid of quite a few, and I got some CEX credit. And with it, I got Castlevania: Portrait of Ruin for £6. I think that's a pretty good price for a Castlevania game on the DS. £6. So out of all the Castlevania games on the DS, I've just got Dawn of Sorrow to get now. And you know, I mean, it's a Castlevania game for £6. It seems like it's pretty much a no-brainer, isn't it? But yeah. So and I had a pretty good day. Some of this coming up is from the same day, which sort of just added to my buzz. You know, I'll get to it, but this isn't it. This next game is an eBay purchase. No, not eBay purchase. Amazon purchase, and it's a game we've been looking out for. It's a game I discovered from reading a stream on I think it's the Retro Gamer forums, you know, and it's one of those things what people have seen or bought recently, sort of thing, and somebody had bought a copy of a game I'd never seen before, and I checked it out and I thought that looks interesting, and it is Gekio Shooting King, known to aficionados as Shenryu, or if you've got Steel Dragon X on the PS2, it's also known as Steel Dragon. But as far as PS1 games go, PAL PS1 games go, it's Gekio Shooting King. Looks suspiciously like Raiden. It's pretty good actually. It's pretty good. I thought the guy had sold me a lemon because I put it into my PS2 and it got to the title screen. It got to the title screen and it froze. I couldn't get anywhere. It just froze. I thought, bollocks, he sold me a lemon. And so you go through the process of testing everything you can. You know, I was going to try it on my PS1, but then I thought I'll try it with a different controller. And I plugged in an old analog stick PS1 controller that I've got, and it worked. So for some reason, I'm thinking this might be incompatible with PS2 controllers. Is that even a thing? Does that happen? Does anybody know? It was weird. There's nothing wrong with my PS2 controller because it works with PS2 games. It works fine with other games, but for some reason, with this game, I wasn't having any of it. But it's a pretty good game. It is pretty good. And this was £7.75 on Amazon with £2.3 postage. And these rarely come up on eBay, you know, on auction. There's quite a few come up buy it nows, but they're all generally sealed, brand new sealed. So people, you know, the sellers charge like stupid money for them, money they're not really worth. I think I got a decent price for it. I reckon it's probably worth a bit more than that, a bit more than the £9.75 that I paid in total. But apart from the actual game in this, it's got all these interesting extras. It's got all these bizarre modes that are like comical modes. It's got the standard game, and then it's got this game which basically emulates, what is it? What's that little LCD? Sort of, I forgot what it's called. It's not a Pocket Boy, isn't it? Pocket something. It's a Nintendo. It's a tiny little. It looks like a what's it called? What do they call them? Those little things that kids used to use, where they're like little animals that you have to like train and what the fuck are they called? But it's like a little LCD version of this game. It's quite bizarre. And they have all these other games. It's like antiquated version, and which is basically it's like got a it's got it makes it look old. I can't what's the word? I can't think. And it's got a funny version where all the sound effects are replaced with like a laughter track and sort of funny like comical sound effects. And it's got a difficult mode, and there's all these It's just, that makes it interesting in itself. It sort of sets it apart from just a standard shooter or these extra modes. And there are videos on YouTube, so if you're not really getting what I'm saying, which is understandable, go and check them out. But the game itself is good. It's pretty good, and it's worth what I paid for it anyway. From the same day that I got Castlevania in a charity shop, not bad this, Vigilante 8 for 99p. A charity shop, British Art Foundation in Walthamstow. It's been a bit barren with charity shops recently. I've not really been getting very much, but this is the first half decent find in a while. But so I'm really chuffed with. So 99p. These next 5, the last 5 I've got, all came from the same day as Vigilante 8 and Castlevania. Sorry, all came from my favourite branch of cash converters in Edmonton. Don't anyone go there because it's mine. But I've had some really nice finds there. They tend to mix up their stock a lot. You go to a lot of branches and it's always the same stock. This branch, they always have new stock, which I think is the key really. It makes it a little bit more exciting. And I've been there recently and they've had some stuff which might be more interesting to other people, like they had Master System games. I don't know if there was anything particularly special, but they always have. I know they always have PS1 games, and there's a little clue as to what I've got here. But they have PS2, some Xbox. Pretty much, they have more older stuff than they do current gen, which is a bit strange. But yeah, this is all PS1 games. I went in there and they had a whole new batch, loads. I had like 3 shelves full. Before they just had a little sort of run about that many games. But now they had 3 shelves full, and I was going, wow, I saw it from a distance. I thought, you know, I got really excited. And it was a crowded shop as well, so I got a bit like, right, I've got to get in there. And I sort of sat down, because they're right at the bottom, and I crouched down in front of the first shelf and basically marked out my territory. I could have easily just sort of like pissed all around pissed the cordon, you know, nobody step across this line, but I didn't. I could have done, but I didn't. But it was crowded, and there were other people looking at the shelves, so I had to sort of like fight my way in there almost. I've got 5 games. I'll bring them out in ascending order. I got excited. The first one was a bit of a mistake. I got too excited, didn't check the contents. Resident Evil Director's Cut. This was a duplicate, and I was going to put it into a batch that I'm going to be sticking on eBay. It's not in brilliant nick. The case has got a couple of cracks, and I did look inside. See, look, the case is a little bit knackered because it doesn't open properly. Did look inside. I saw 2 discs. I saw Director's Cut disc. I can force it again. So a Director's Cut disc. And the demo, which, you know, it's not got a manual, so I mean it's crying out to be stuck in a batch of you know, a bundle on eBay. But I didn't look closely enough. Although I haven't said that, I've not tested it. There's a crack from the inside. Yeah, I can see it on the back actually. Yeah, don't know if you'll see that. There's a crack. It's about 1.5 inches long from there to there, between my fingers, and I'll be very surprised if that works. So it's only 99p, but it was a wasted 99p, and this might work. It's got scratches, so I've got artwork and I've got a potentially working demo disc. So for 99p, I don't know where. Oh yeah, didn't have a price on it, but that was 99p. Actually, yeah, but slightly disappointing. But you know, it serves me right for getting cocky. I'll stick that there. I did get cocky. I got excited. Yeah. Next game. This is sort of a weird nostalgia thing. Not a particularly good game. It's Star Wars Railroad Assault 2. I bought this because one particular reason, because it's the only game I've ever rented and completed in one go. Not the most difficult game in the world. As far as I remember, there's no significant difference between the difficulty settings. They're all exactly the same. You know, easy is no difficult from hard. You know, you can breeze through it. but it's got a really well realised sort of Star Wars feel to it. So at least you get a bit of Star Wars nostalgia for it. And it's that easy. If you're ever having an existential gamer's crisis where you know what's it all about, you know, I'm feeling rubbish. My gaming skills are subpar. Just stick this on, and this will boost you up straight away because you'll complete it in like a sitting. Needs to be a light gun game, I think, but it's not, is it? It's just sort of on the rails, or like you just control a cursor. No, it really needs to be a light gun game. It's getting slightly better now. Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2. They had 2 copies of this, wasn't it 3? And I basically took all the composite parts and made a decent one out of it. There was a bit. There was one that only had 1 disc, so I wasn't going to have that one. And then I took the best disc out of the other one, and I took the best discs and then the best manual. They're a bit cheeky, but they didn't seem to mind. They were just sort of sitting there, just sort of like, you know. Anyway, so it's Resident Evil 2 again for 99p. 99p. Yeah. So I've got a decent copy of Resident Evil 2. A little bit better than that. Metal Gear Solid Special Missions. This looks to be in pretty good nick. It's all complete, and no cracks in the case or anything. Again, 99p. I'm not sure how the game is. It's just basically like it's like a practice missions, isn't it? I think. But it's sort of collectible, because I think these came in like a sort of a double pack. No, yeah. Anyway, and finally, top it all off. This sort of, I sort of saw this. Actually, no. To be honest, I didn't really even see it. Didn't really register it. I just sort of like half registered it and pounced on it straight away without even thinking. I just saw what the words on the end, on the spine. And it is, I'll bring it out, it's Mega Man Legends for 99p. 99 Mega Man Legends for 99p. I've got to the stage with my PS1 collection where I've pretty much got most of the games I want to get, and all the ones left are a little bit expensive, and I'm not really prepared to pay money for them. So it's if I'm going to have them in my collection, it's going to be charity shop, cash converters, whatever, random cheap finds or nothing. And I never expected that to happen, and it has happened with this. I was gonna maybe pay the going rate for 1 Mega Man game. I was going to pick a Mega Man game and just at least I'll have a Mega Man game in my collection. And if I'm honest, it wasn't going to be one of the Legends games, because this, I don't know how good the game is. It looks alright. I've tested it because it needed testing, and it doesn't look too bad. It's 3D, which I think is, you know, sort of offended the sensibilities of Mega Man fans, because it's no longer 2D side scroller. It's just 3D third person Mega Man. It's supposed to be sort of slightly RPG-ish, which did appeal to me, but the game itself didn't look too hot. But you can't turn down Mega Man Legends, a Mega Man game, for 99p. I think the PAL versions are a lot scarcer than the American versions, but I was generally I've been looking at Mega Man 8, but that's ridiculous. I've seen that go for 140 quid, but that was just a freaky one-off. Or some of the Mega Man X games, I think it's 3 till 7. They look more my sort of game, like side-scrolling shooters. But no, I was just sort of blown away. I didn't strictly check it. I thought it's worth 99p, even if the discs are knackered. And obviously, with I should have checked it, considering what I got with Resident Evil Director's Cut. And the disc is not brilliant by any means. It's got nicks in it. They're not uniform scratches, and it's sort of cloudy. You ever seen that? I don't know if that'll pick it up. The disc's sort of cloudy. You might be able to see that around the outside. Yeah, you see it there, but it works. It works. And if I don't like the cloudiness and the minor scratches, I can go and get them. I can go and get them scrubbed out, can't I? Got the manual, so all in all, I'm pretty chuffed. It just needs a new case because it's a bit cracked and a bit knackered. But I had a bit of a buzz on that, so yeah. I sort of came out of Cash Converters, hoarded my stuff. There were other games in there, and I saw there was an American version of Final Fantasy VIII, but I didn't know whether to get it because, you know, I've got Final Fantasy VIII and it would just be for trading purposes. But I put it back, and I was going to go and get it afterwards, but then some guy literally, in a couple of minutes after I'd put it down, had got it in his grasp. I saw him, he was like doing what I'd been doing. He'd had a whole handful of games and he was going through them. So that you know, that's what the atmosphere is like. But I've got my Mega Man Legends, and my buzz was slightly tempered by Resident Evil Director's Cut, but not much. Anyway, that's it. This wasn't going to be a long video, but I've just noticed, I think with my Prometheus, talking about Prometheus and stuff, it's now over half an hour. Sorry. Yeah. Come on, England. They'll look out for more videos. I can't think of what to say to sign off, so I won't. I'll just say see you later. Come on, England. Yes. See you later.